Sports Talk with the Cowboy.
Welcome and thanks for riding with the Cowboy. Great news, great victory Monday night. A victory over the Philadelphia Eagles, first round, wild card round, 32-9. A wonderful victory by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Underdogs in the game. Weather was great. Dr. Martin Luther King's son and his daughter and granddaughter was the ceremonial coin tossers at the game. Ric Flair, Nature Boy, up on the Bucs ship, praising the Bucs, getting the crowd fired up for the game. Game full of Buccaneer fans. All the owners of the Bucs there. All the owner, of course, Jeff Lurie, the owner of the Eagles there. And the Bucs went out there and opened up a can of whoop ass on the Philadelphia Eagles and won 32-9. Won the game. A great game. Went down there in the first drive, scored a field goal. Then we scored a touchdown and another field goal. Got out 13-0, as you know. But it got close to 16-9 in the third quarter when Anthony Nelson had a safety on Jalen Hurts, got the game to 18-9, and then we had a pass caught by Trey Palmer that went into the end zone and put us up 26-9. That was the pivotal moments of that game, and it was a good game. It was a good game for the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield had 3 touchdowns, one to Chris Godwin, and one to David Moore, and one to Trey Palmer. It was a great, wonderful game played by the Buccaneers. We had some clutch field goals by our field goal kicker. And the Buccaneers have won the first round of the playoffs. When they left, it was like the Super Bowl had been won by the Bucs. And now they go on to play Detroit this Sunday at Ford Field in the division round. And we're playing with house money because nobody thought we'd even make the playoffs, more or less win a playoff game. We want to win this game against Detroit. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be indoors, so the weather's not going to be a factor for the kicking or the fans. Be 72 degrees in there no matter what the temperature outside is. So the big game this Sunday, 3 o'clock. There's only 4 teams left in the National Conference. That's the 49ers. We're playing the Packers. That's the Bucs. And that's the Lions. And after this weekend, only 2 teams remain in the National Conference. The winner will go to the Super Bowl for the National. And in the American, we have the Baltimore Ravens playing the Houston Texans, and we have the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. There's 4 now in each conference. There'll only be 2 Sunday, and after next Sunday, there's only going to be 1 apiece for the Super Bowl. So we've made a great strides as an organization and a team this year. It's been an up and down, like me and DJX would tell you about Baker Mayfield, but he has pulled through in the clutch. And he earned him a contract by getting in the playoffs, but he earned him a lot more money the last couple of weeks. And this week, over 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, 121 quarterback rating. Only one other person went over 300 yards in Tampa Bay Buccaneer playoff history in a playoff game. His name was Tom Brady. Okay, so you're in rare fire there, Mr. Mayfield. He has delivered the goods. We said he was who he was, and it is. And it's a bumpy road, but the road got to the end. If we got in the tournament, we had a chance as good as any. We got in the tournament, even though we was playing a team that had beaten us earlier in the year. But we came back and won this game, and now we move on to Detroit. As far as any injuries concerned, I don't know of any injuries for the Buccaneers. I don't think anybody's really injured. Of course, everybody's nicked up this time of year, especially when you're in the playoffs. The Detroit Lions are not going to be an easy team to beat. They beat us 21-6, first of the season, but so did Philadelphia. They didn't beat us the other night. So, and if Green Bay can beat the 49ers on Saturday, and the Bucs beat the Lions on Sunday, the Green Bay Packers will come to Tampa for the championship game. So, a lot of big things happening this weekend. Congratulations to Jason Light, the Glazer family, his ownership to lead this organization. Todd Bowles, his coaching staff, Baker Mayfield, every player on that team that contributed, and every player did contribute on Monday night. It was an absolute marvelous victory, and there could be nothing better savored than what happened on Monday night. So the Super Bowl, and my heart was one then when I seen the Glazers and all the excitement in that stadium. And when they left, all that excitement went with them, and they knew they had a chance to continue on in this tournament. Their goals had been ample met. Somebody asked me, he said, Detroit's a favorite. Well, like the Bucs always say, they like not to be the favorite. They're used to it. They're used to being coming in there and not the team to win. They didn't supposed to make it. They didn't supposed to win the division, and they didn't supposed to win against the Eagles. And they've done all three. So they're playing with house money come Sunday, and we're hoping everything goes well. We think, as far as the injuries report, everybody again's nicked up, but there's been no major injuries on the Buccaneers' part. The last few days, they just went back. Today was the first day of actually going back to practice because the game was Monday night and they were off Tuesday. So, got a big game come Sunday, 3 o'clock, Ford Field. Go Bucs. Hope you're victorious. And now we're going to move on to the Tampa Bay Lightning, who have been on an up and down swing in the last week. They've won 4 and lost 3. They can't seem to get any consistency. We were hoping that they would get some consistency now after the first of the year. They've got to start to compete towards winning Lord Stanley's Cup. And they have shown some signs on certain nights where they played better than others. But they've got to show some consistency and not be down at the bottom rung here. We've got to start patching together more wins than losses. They're not coming out 4 and 3 like we did in the last 7 games. But other than that, there's been no major injuries to report on the Lightning. They're all out there. We've got a lot of people on the different lines. We're trying to see which would fit. And as you know in hockey, they got the first line, second line, third line. So they don't have the same players playing the whole game as in other sports. They have lines of them that comes out and plays. So you've got to try to adjust those lines, you know. And you say, well, which line's better? Well, it really doesn't matter. They all have to be effective. And it takes a while in hockey to try to get that balance, so to speak, so that each line be adequately prepared to score against their lines that they change just like we change ours. So it takes a lot of nick and tucking on the hockey, but we're still in it. We're too early to say we're not, but we need a little bit more consistency because we're after the first of the year, and we're going to start getting to the real serious nitty-gritty in March, and it won't be long, and it'll be March. So we'll continue to keep your eyes on the Tampa Bay Lightning. As far as the Tampa Bay Rays, February 10th will be the pitchers and the catchers will report to spring training, which is a few weeks from now. We have, as you know, we've been making some trades. We got us an outfielder from the Cardinals. We got a shortstop from the Seattle Mariners. We traded our designated hitter Luke Raley to the Seattle Mariners and got a shortstop for Juan DeFranco, which is probably never going to play Major League Baseball again. So we've made some moves in the wintertime before the spring training would start, and that's about the only news that I can report to you with the Rays. As far as racing, a week from now, there will be the Rolex 24 hours in Daytona, the first race of the International Motor Series Association, or IMSA, in Daytona, one of the major 3 Triple Crown races, and it will be on the 27th of January, a little bit more than a week from now. They are practicing their Pilot GTP cars, endurance cars. Here at Sports Talk with Cowboy, DJX, always we're talking about IMSA because of the Sebring International races, which will be held in the middle of March, which will be the next race after the Rolex. So we're getting into racing. Racing is starting to become a lot more prevalent. In the next week or two, there's going to be Indy trial racing out at the Sebring International Raceway, where the IndyCar drivers will be out there practicing for their opener, which is the first week of March in St. Petersburg, Florida. So racing in Florida in January and February is very, very common. And here in our hometown, Sebring, in March, of course, the second leg of the Triple Crown will be the 12 Hours of Sebring, presented by Mobile. So we'll just keep you posted on the racing. And now we're going to go to our questions. And tonight, the first question is from Tom. And Tom wanted to know what I thought about Baker Mayfield's performance Monday night. And Tom, I thought Baker Mayfield actually played a great game, as great a game as I've seen him play as a Buccaneer. And everyone has to be pleased with how he did it. He did not turn over the ball. And, of course, that's the key to any quarterback success in the NFL, is turning over the ball to the opponent's team. You don't want to do that. He didn't do that. And he was consistent, and he scored for us. And all these drives we had the ball, the first 6 times we had the ball, we either touchdown or a field goal. That's consistency, and that's what you want to see. He was excellent. Excellent, Tom. I think you earned him a huge contract with the Buccaneers, which I know he'll sign. God bless you, Tom. Thank you for your question. And the next thing is from Faye question. And Faye wanted to know what I thought about the Tampa Bay Rays and their acquisition of their shortstop from Seattle. And Faye, I think they needed a shortstop, one that has proven that he could play in the Major League Baseball, a young guy with a lot of tread still left on his tires. We got a 24-year-old that's played 3 years with the Mariners, last 2 years as a starter. We needed to have somebody take Wander Franco's place at shortstop with the Rays. He's in that legal trouble, as you know, down in the Dominican Republic. He ain't coming back, Faye. I'm going to keep it real with you, the sports talk recorder, Cowboy. He's not coming back to the Rays. He's not coming back to Major League Baseball. Whatever they say, he's not coming back. We went and got that shortstop take his place, and I think we did a good job. Thank you for your question, Faye. God bless you. And the last question is from Billy, and Billy wanted to know what I thought about the chances of the victory against Detroit. Billy, I think we can win the game, but we're going to have to play it like we did against the Eagles. When a loser go home, winner go on. And in our mentality, I think this team is ready to play. It's going to be a tough game with the Detroit Lions. The first playoff game they've had in 37 years last week. Grown men were crying in the stands at Ford Field. 37 years since the Detroit Lions have been in a playoff game and won one. They just won one last week. So don't think that Ford Field's not going to have fans from the Lions in that thing come Sunday, because they are going to be there. This is history. Some of them don't never remember 37 years back when they were even in the playoffs. They won a game and they got one more game to get to the Super Bowl. You think they're going to be there? Well, Billy, they're going to be there. So Tampa's going to have to bring that A game. It's not going to be like when the Eagles come to Tampa. And I think they'll be ready, but they're going to have to play mistake-free football. The defense is going to have to play like they did against the Eagles. They're going to have some good offensive play calling by Dave Canales and good scheme by Todd Bowles. And I think they have a good chance of winning that game. They need that running game of Rashad White, and they need to stop Detroit's running game, because they're going to try. It's going to be a physical contest. Like we say, there's only 4 teams left in the National, and they're one of them. And they're going to fight to the end, because they know if they lose, it is the end. It's going to be a good game, Billy. We got a chance. Hang in there. Go Bucs. And now I want to make a special statement about Michigan winning the national championship. Congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines for winning the NCAA football championship. They're first in over 40 years, and Michigan is really doing real well in football this year. Of course, they won the national championship. They got the Detroit Lions in the playoffs. Things are humming for Michigan in football this year. So congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines for the national championship, beating Washington in the championship game. DJX, what you got for me tonight?
Well, Cowboy, you know what it is. Let's get right off into it, buddy. All right. How about the Eagles?
They like chicken. They like chicken on Sunday plate now. They fried.
They ain't flying too high.
Well,
right
they was
now.
flying low when they came in, and they was flying lower now.
Too low. All right. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes unfazed ahead of his first round postseason game this Sunday.
Well, he had that helmet broke on top of his head when he was playing there last week with the Dolphins. Just cracked it. It was so cold it just shattered on his head. And that's some brutal cold there. And they haven't yet went to a playoff game out of Kansas City unless it's the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because they're always the number one seed. Well, this is a strange week because they're going to Buffalo, their arch rival, to Buffalo.
Yeah.
But as far as the weather conditions, I don't think it'll bother Patrick Mahomes one bit, because he just was in Kansas City last week with his helmet got cracked. So they're pretty cold in Kansas too. So I don't think there'll be a whole lot of difference. But
right.
He's trying to get prepared to travel. But I don't think these teams or any team in the playoffs with this much adrenaline running through all of them's veins that it matters where they go. It's going to be a war no matter where they go. Right. Any of these teams, when they sit down, it's going to be a war.
It's going down.
It's going down.
Much of the Chiefs' defense success has come from 3 key free agents.
Well, it has Tyrann Mathieu, the good guy in the back. Chris Jones, of course, came back, and they had a couple of people, DeForest Buckner and other ones that played with the Chiefs that they've gotten in the draft and through free agency. But Chris, Jones, their big man. He missed the first game against the Lions, and of course the Lions beat the Chiefs. I ain't saying that was the reason, but he's back in the lineup now. But yes, it has mattered. the defense has mattered. But the Chiefs are going to have their hands full with the Buffalo Bills. They were playing the Dolphins from Miami, and the Dolphins from Miami without Bradley Chubb and a couple of their linemen aren't the most physical team. You know, you lose some of those big physical leaders like T.J. Watt's brother there in Pittsburgh, and then they go and play this week and get beat by Buffalo. I mean, you lose a couple of big physical leaders on that defense, and you're playing in this snow game where it's just bounce, 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 where that is the way it is in all football. But you lose those great leaders, and it surely affects your team.
It does. All right. Steelers signed former Falcons wide receiver and Harvard's running back.
Well, I don't have no problem with anybody signing anybody to futures contracts, and they certainly need the help. They need the help. They don't know who their new head coach is, but they do need the help. Bill Belichick, by the way, did just meet with Arthur Blank, the owner of the Atlanta Falcons and also owner of Home Depot, about a job to being the new head coach of the Falcons. That's Bill Belichick, as we all know. And so anybody that he can qualitatively bring in there, or the organization can be seen as bringing someone in. He goes into that building, he's got to be made an impression that this team's really wanting to win.
Right.
It's not standing on his hands and packing up the things, closing down the doors and going home. So I think that's a good signing while he was there. We're bringing in talent.
Bringing somebody in that can do something. All right, let's go to the boards. Dolphin fans' confidence poll as seasons come to an end.
Well, you know, their confidence is probably shaken down there when they got beat so bad by the Chiefs, 26-7 the other day. And it was, you know, I didn't expect that the Dolphins were going to win it. I mean, they've lost a couple of their main defensive ends. They lost Bradley Chubb, their linebacker. They're not known to be a physical team. They want to make you believe it. I'm not saying that they're not really adapted to the cold weather. Nobody really is in that cold of conditions. But, you know, you get a team that likes to pass, which is AKA the Dolphins and the Chiefs, of course. Chiefs scored a couple touchdowns on pass, but they scored a touchdown on the ground too, and that ground game was very effective. It wasn't effective ground game with the Dolphins. The Dolphins never got on track. They did have a touchdown to Tyreek Hill, great, but not enough. Okay, so you know, I know that their confidence of the Dolphins are down because if they could have been the number one seed, would it have been different if the Chiefs would have been in Miami and it had been 71 degrees? Absolutely. Would it have been any different for us running down that icy field or running down that nice sod we got down there, turf down there in Miami? Oh, yeah. Been a lot better for us. Don't let nobody kid you.
Yeah. Got a little chill in their bones.
You damn right.
Shake it off.
You damn right.
All right. Steelers afternoon drive. Which Steelers won't be back in 2024? Steelers now.
Eli Apple probably won't be back as a defensive back. Probably a couple of their defensive ends. I think Najee Harris will be back.
Yeah, for sure.
Pickens will be back. Their tight ends will be back. They have some offensive line issues I'm sure they'd like to improve upon. Now, whether they keep them on the roster or go to the draft and get them or go get free agents in March and put them on the team, they've got a lot of improvement. The main thing the Steelers got to do is figure out who the head coach is going to be.
Yeah. Is
it going to be Mike Tomlin? Mike Tomlin, when they asked him about his contract, he walked away from the podium, didn't say no more to nobody, walked on off. I ain't heard nothing from Mike Tomlin since last week.
He don't want it.
He ain't wanting it. Want it, he just bye. I ain't talking about it. So,
I'm out of here.
You know, here's what I tell him about Pittsburgh. I say, get your coach in place, okay? You know what I mean? Tell him he's back. You know what I mean? He ain't gonna tell you nothing else. You know what I mean? If he ain't back, he's gonna be going somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we'll have to see. It's real quiet. Jerry Jones ain't said nothing about Mike McCarthy getting the doors beat off of him by the Packers. And Nick Sirianni of the Eagles, he got people throwing popcorn from the Philadelphia fans at him the other day because he's been on a nosedive for about a month and a half. The Eagles, they've lost like 6 out of the last 7. Come into Tampa and get stomped right on national TV like this.
No, he don't want to
whether
talk
his
about
job,
it.
they say is the seat hot. These boys, the seat's so damn hot and he'd explode to the moon. Tomlin at least got to the playoffs and had a credible game against the Bills. They didn't get blown out or nothing. But, you know, they've been on the hot seat with Mike Tomlin, even though he made the playoffs, because they expect he's got to win the Super Bowl every year. You know the drill.
Right.
He's been there 17 years, all these main coaches. Because if you're going to make a move as a head coach and you got 6 or 7 candidates out there, best if you're going to make the move, make it now. Don't make it later, because them 7 ain't going to be out there no more.
Right.
Okay? And when they get their job, they're going to have about 18 coaches around that one coach. So all the other good assistants are going to go to these new teams. Believe it. Okay? So if you're going to make a move, if you're a billionaire owner, you got to make it. Better now if you're going to make it than later. You wait till March, pickings going to be real slim.
Real slim. All right, and before I go, I got Baker Mayfield.
There it is. Baker Mayfield, DJX and myself been hollering about Baker Mayfield, how we thought he was going to be a great quarterback for Tampa. He's proven us out. Another successful call by Sports Talk with the Cowboy. This show, DJX and myself, way back. Get on your tape, go back, watch your show. You'll hear us talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their chances of making it this far. And guess what? They've made it this far. And if they win the next 2 games, they're in the Super Bowl. And if they win 3 games, they the Super Bowl champ. So that rarefied air is running through that nostril right now.
It is. Right on. All right, Cowboy. Well, that's what I got for you tonight.
God bless you, DJX.
God bless you, too.
And we're going on with Baker. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your support. Continue to support. Leave your comments. Continue to share us with all your friends and people who want honest sports information from an honest sports media outlet here at Skull Gang Studios and Sports Talk with the Cowboy. Be good to your neighbor. Lend him a helping hand. If you don't want to take it, then help him up off the ground and say, I want to help you today. Be good to your neighbor and be good to everyone, because we need a lot more of that in this earth, in this world that we live in today, more than ever before. And until next show, God bless you. Cowboy out.
Have you ever had a dream that you want him to do you so much you could do anything?